Welcome to Section 31, episode number 240. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler. One hopes.
Just a little bit of a delay. That's fine. This week we had no local events because I was out of town and Rogue was at a con. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Rogue talk about how Comic-Con went. My usual question is, how many costumes did you bring, and over how many days was it?
Well, since we live here, I didn't really have to bring costumes, but I did wear costumes 3 days. We were a little swamped this year, costume-wise, so there wasn't a lot of new stuff because we had most of them in Masquerade, a more complicated Masquerade entry than usual this year, and half the people staying in our house were participating in the Her Universe fashion show on Thursday. So there was not a lot of free time or sleep or extra costumes. But we did have costumes. We did have new costumes, and a pretty good time. The Her Universe fashion show was Thursday night. Half of our group mostly just focused on that, waiting for that to get up. My father-in-law did our indie group again, and we, as is our apparently third tradition for third year in a row, we recruited a new indie from friends we knew that were going because my brother-in-law does not come to Comic-Con anymore, and he was our indie.
Right.
But we actually we had a lot of new. We've been wearing that in some variation or other for like 5 or 6 years now. But we always seem to run into new people who have never seen it before, find it exciting, or are happy to see us again. So it makes it worth going. And this year we saw for the first time ever another Grail night, a female Grail night, just going out on her own with a little trail. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
One of the odd things that we saw Thursday was no line for Hall H. We were astonished. We drove up, and there were all the tents out on Grassy Knoll, off the end of the convention center where the Hall H line usually sits, and it was nobody. I don't know if the new wristband thing scared people away, or if there was just nothing exciting going on Thursday, on the Thursday panels. But not just Thursday, but all weekend, the line was much shorter, which was astonishing, but also kept hearing reports that the people who were in the front rows of things had been in line since, for multiple days. So if you wanted to be in the Marvel panel Saturday evening, the people who were in the first few rows had been camped out since Thursday morning.
Yeah, I read an article about people camping in line for Hall H and just what it's turned into for 4 days of camping out, and it that is certainly one of the reasons that I haven't been in a number of years, and nor do I care to.
Yeah, I find it kind of ridiculous. I mean, you pay $250 to get this 4-day badge, and you spend 3 of those days, camped out on the sidewalk, so that you can see one 1-hour panel that will be broadcast on the internet. If it was for the signing line and everything else, maybe, but I don't know. We had a lot of discussions this weekend about theories to revamp the organization of Comic-Con, and many of them revolved around charging for individual panels. After having cut the badge price in half and then just charge for panels, because I would be more than happy to pay for a panel and sit in the back. Yeah, or assigned seat, or even just this many people are going to be in there, and I know that I'm one of the 4,000 that has a ticket to this panel. I can walk in 10 minutes before the panel starts and sit down in the back, instead of having to spend all day, in line. I didn't go to a single panel this con. It's the first time I've ever gone to a panel. I didn't go to a panel, and partially it was because the ones I wanted to go to were conflicting with other commitments, but they were also ridiculous lines. The Marvel panel was huge, and I heard it was awesome, but again, 3 days in line. The Orphan Black panel, apparently Comic-Con didn't get the memo that it's awesome, so they put it in a teeny tiny room. So the line was subsequently long for that, relative to the number of people who want to see it. It was just insane. So we mostly did con floor stuff. We were so tired from working on stuff for Masquerade that I think we kind of rolled in late, noonish each day, except for Saturday. So we tried to take it easy. Friday, I did do a new costume after spending most of the morning putting on a bald cap. I got into my new shiny orange costume for Brother Silence. From those of you, I've talked before about the movie Gamers, Darkness Rising, and its sequel, Hands of Fate, which is more CCG oriented, and recommended that. I know several of our listeners/viewers have gone and watched that based on our recommendation, which is cool. I got a Brother Silence costume together for Comic-Con this year to meet up with the group of others from that movie that were at WonderCon, and my friends Mike and Steph were the male and female versions of the Sorceress, which was pretty hilarious. And we unfortunately, most of the people we were there to meet up had to work a lot of the time, but we did get some pictures together, and we had a good time rolling around on our own anyway. We count them, 5 people recognized who we were, but all of them were ecstatic over it.
Nice.
Especially the first person. The first girl we ran into had to stay late at work, and she missed the panel she wanted to go to, and she was at the con late, and she was angry and bitter, and she ran into us after about 20 minutes, and she was like, "You guys made my day. I'm so glad I bothered coming to con."
Awesome.
And we're like, "You're the first person who recognized us. You've made our day." So it was a big hit. We had a great time. Saturday was okay. So I missed the fashion show. Fashion show was Thursday night. Her Universe, big Star Wars and other geek fandom female clothing industry. They had a design contest. I think it was something like 500 people submitted designs, and 36 designers were selected, including my wife and a friend of ours who came out, and they had an actual runway show, and then winners were selected who will then design clothing for their shop and will actually be sold. So that was cool. My wife was very excited to participate. She wanted to make the finals and definitely did not want to win because she did not want the pressure of having to make something that would then be sold. So she was excited and made her dress. All of the girls were frantically doing their design in it to get all the final touches ready. But it was actually a really cool show. Ashley Eckstein, who is the voice of Ahsoka Tano on the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. She's the founder, and she came out and emceed, and there were some really, really, really cool designs. I can't even... there was a girl in a Portal dress. They were all inspired by various fandoms, but it was kind of looked like a small hula hoop, like a hoodie, that held up over her outfit, and it was like a jumpsuit, the costume jumpsuit from the show, from the game, but then it went down her, like she went through it, and it became the bottom hoop of her skirt and transformed into like a dress. So it was like she went through a portal and came out in a different dress. Huh. That was amazing. There were some really cool wedding dresses. Our friend made a Loki dress with like feather horns. My wife Caitlin made a rainbow Padme prom dress, so inspired by Amidala's costume. And there was a DeLorean dress, which was amazing. It looked like, yes, a DeLorean, Back to the Future. She had the flux.
It sounded like you said flux, and then you dropped off. So I'm going to guess you're going to say capacitor.
Until I jump back in.
There you go.
Flux capacitor. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, flux capacitor on the front. The back of her was lit up like the back of the DeLorean. She had like flame tights, so it was like the tracks behind her. She had a little clutch purse that was the license plate after that goes to the future. It was just really well thought out. All of the details were really good. There was a great Kara Thrace dress, which was like the jumpsuit. So the top was like the underlayer, and then the jumpsuit was like if after they take off the sleeves and kind of let it hang down, but made out of that original material from the flight suits. Really cool. Just a lot of really cool. There's tons of pictures online. I'm sure you'll be able to find them. Print fabric, just for. It was amazing. And then she had a little string that she pulled, and it pulled up the hoop of her dress, and you could see her Mordor leggings underneath with the little Tower of Barad-dûr. It was crazy. The details that these people went into, it was amazing, and it was actually it went from being a commitment to go see friends to being a really cool experience to see how everybody interpreted the fandoms into these fashions.
Cool.
The other big event that I attended was Masquerade, of course, which we had a great time and frantically finished for. We had a multi-fandom entry this year where when we were trying to think of ideas, somebody mentioned, I don't know what we do to it, but I really love the song I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. It's pretty short. It's got a great, it's really catchy, and everybody really likes it. It was like, yeah, but I don't know what we do. We can't do that. We're not really training for anything. All I can think of when I hear that is somebody walking around Comic-Con who doesn't belong there, and fans trying to convert him to their fandom. Like, I'll make a fan out of you, and everybody flipped out. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we all picked different costumes, and we had one guy in the middle who was our kind of douchey sports fan guy who was making bad comments about everything, and then one by one we each like kind of win him over and put a piece of our fandom. So I was Mal, and when I was done, I put a little Jane hat on him, and then Galadriel comes up and convinces.
Galadriel comes up and convinces
to Mordor. The ring to Mordor. We're taking the ring to Mordor. We're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Isengard. We're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Hobbits. Taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Well, it sounds like you had a good time. How did you guys do? Are you coming back? Could have been the singing.
Okay. Call me the dog. Everybody loved that, so. Network difficulties. Sorry.
That's all right. You're back. Go ahead.
We had the doctor who came in to try and convince him, that the Doctor Who was cool. He's like, call the doctor. I can help you. And he's like, who? Doctor Who? Yay. And anyway, I feel like I'm explaining a joke, and the joke's not funny. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. Lots of our listeners see us on Facebook, so both the audio track and the video are all on Facebook, on YouTube right now. So, and there's links on Facebook and Tumblr. So maybe we can put links in the show notes so people can go find it. We had a great time. I was really nervous because, once you're creative on something for a long time, you get that feeling of, I have no perspective on this anymore. Is this good? Is this crap? Should I be working on this anymore? And it was nice to have that validation of, oh, good, this is funny, and people did enjoy it. So the lack of sleep was not for nothing.
Yes. So I don't think you mentioned it. It might have been when you were cut off. Did you? This was from Masquerade. Did you place? Did you win? Did you get anything?
We did. We got almost the exact same thing we got last year, which was the Weta workshop, or not Weta, the Sideshow collectibles favorite, and the audience. Apparently, we should have gotten audience favorite, but they didn't want to give it to the same group 2 years in a row. And so another group won it, which was fantastic. This guy did he managed to have layered costumes, and I keep saying guy because we thought but it was a girl. She was fantastic. She had a Jedi costume and then took it off and was a pirate and managed to pull a musket out of her lightsaber. And then she's like, oh, and then we're going to the Pirates panel, and now it's the Indiana Jones panel, and she pulls a whip out of the musket and turns her hat inside out, and it's a fedora, and pulls off her outfit, and she's got Indy, and it's like, and then don't forget to make our way to our Harry Potter exhibit, and then she pulls a necktie out of the hat and turns her Jedi robe inside out and puts it on and pulls a patch off, and then pulls a wand out of the end of the whip, and it's just like in a minute.
Wow.
It was really funny. And she had a little lawn chair, like she had been sitting in line for all of this. So this was like her, the abbreviated version of her con experience. So she got. We also got most humorous as a trophy award, which was great. Which gives we got medals and free badges next year for up to 4. So we'll be able to do that. Yeah, which was nice. Most humorous and or presentation is usually the award.
All right. Most humorous or something else is the award that makes Rogue go offline. Will he return to finish his tale?
I am here.
All right.
And speaking of tales, the Best in Show, I highly recommend everybody go search YouTube for Comic-Con Masquerade, Monster Mash, or Monsters Best in Show, because the Best in Show was ridiculous. These 4 girls were dressed up as Godzilla kaiju monsters, but kind of like showgirls. And it was hilarious. And not in the kind of risque burlesque fashion. It was just funny. They came out like they were monsters in silhouette, and then the lights came on, and they started into a dance number. And they had a guy in aviator glasses and a hat running behind them with airplanes, like glittery airplanes, and they were covered in rhinestones, and Mechagodzilla had little missiles shooting out of her, and they had I forget, it was a Gaude or something, the 3-headed, she had heads on her hands, so she'd hold up her hands and was the 3-headed kaiju. It was so funny, and the dance was hilarious. They inserted little Godzilla noises into the music at just the right points, so it was like one singular sensation, every little step she makes. It was like we could not help but rolling around, and like right before they had put out these little like 2 or 3 foot buildings along the front of the stage to kind of give them scale, so make them look like they were giant monsters. And at the end, she kind of goes along. They go along in a kick line and kick over all of the buildings on their way out. It was phenomenal and just so funny. And the craftsmanship on their costumes was amazing. We were behind them in line and looking at all the little details they had done. It was so funny and so well done, and they were first-time masqueraders, so
That's awesome.
It was really, really, really impressive.
So, in addition to or aside from the costuming, since this is a Star Trek card game podcast, was there any Star Trek news? Anything about movie number 3 or anything like that?
No Star Trek news. No, I did card game for once, for like the first time in a long time at Comic Con. Interplay was there doing demos for My Little Pony, so I went up and got a promo for that. Um, in our continuing escapade list of their error escapades, we were like, oh, you're advertising this one promo to get the parallel set from the most recent expansion and stamp Comic-Con on them. So there wasn't one card to collect. There was a bunch of cards, and so it's like no way you could have gotten a complete set from that.
So, okay, you kind of cut out there. It sounded like instead of just one promo card for like an event, they stamped the parallel foil set so that everyone got one of, I'm guessing, one of 20 cards or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So you got one random card. I happened to actually get the one they announced because I mentioned it because I thought that was the promo. And then they handed me another one. I was like, oh, thanks. And our friend Brian went, and he was like, here, I just thought I'd get them for fun, but you can have them. I don't play the game. And they were 2 different cards. It's like, did they just do all the foils? That's insane. So, I don't know.
Was like a little rubber stamp, ka-chunk, like a Wars stamp?
More like what was that stupid first day Star Wars game Decipher did?
So there was like a little foil stamp on it?
Yeah, it was like a foil stamp, like a little engraving. So it was cool, but there's no way you're going to get a set unless you go and, it's not like you got the one Comic-Con 2014 Comic-Con exclusive to add to your collection, and now your set's complete. You have to get them all, or you're never going to have that complete set. My collectors for a collectible card game company or a trading card company that seems obsessed with rarity, I think they would know better than to do that and then drive the collector mentality people crazy with not being able to get them all.
Yeah, that's kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, you're 4 down out of how many?
Yeah, 24 or something like that, 30 maybe.
Yikes.
Right. Yeah, so that was, and that kind of made it like, well, why did I do that? It's not like I rounded out my set now. No, I just made it harder to get them. So, but it's another foil of some rares that I don't have maybe. And it was still fun. I got to ask questions about the game and confirm that some of the things that I thought were broken are broken.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So not great news, but at least confirmation.
Good to know that you're playing correctly.
Yeah, exactly. At least I won't play incorrectly when I go to Gen Con. And now I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be worth my time to play at Gen Con if they're going to do the same thing all over again. Because I was like, I'll go get the one Gen Con promo, so for playing in Worlds or something. And now,
right, but it'd be now, did the stamp say Comic-Con or was it just a?
It says San Diego Comic-Con 2014.
Wow, that seems like an expensive addition to do.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
well, I mean, I'm thinking about it from the perspective of how we do our promos. I'm sure they do theirs differently, and it's just a different print run. But yikes, that's one little change for. I mean, how many people were there? Were there hundreds of people, in the tournaments or what?
No, it was up in the gaming area. They still have the same gaming area that we've had, and there was not a lot of people there. I walked up and sat down and did a demo. There was maybe a dozen, a couple people there for a tournament, and a couple people there doing demos, and I think probably 4 or 5 of the dozen were people working there. So it was not overwhelmed. Granted, this was Sunday afternoon, so it was probably pretty dead. But
yeah. Usually the 4th day of the con is usually not the biggest. That's when all the people who are there for tournaments are on the floor trying to make up for lost time.
Exactly. Go and try to get those last minute sales. which I did. I did the same thing. I managed to find shirts in my size, which I wanted. I got a great zombie Denizens of Endor in a logo of a famous comic and TV show now, and it's Walking Dead.
You know, the pieces were coming together just as you said that. That's awful. All right, well, fantastic.
Yeah, and also got those kind of grid design style Transformers T-shirts. There was of as a transformer transforming into a car, so it's Carpool, which I could not stop laughing about.
Okay, that was a little garbled, so I have no idea what you said, but it was very funny.
Thanks.
Sorry, it was
Deadpool. Deadpool.
Wow, Carpool. Okay.
Yes.
All right, brilliant. Awesome. Okay.
But yeah. So
yeah. Anything else? Anything else from the show that you want to talk about?
No, it's. I did notice, kind of going back to the Hall H thing. Just in general, the lines have been shorter and shorter. The dedicated people are getting more and more hardcore about getting in line to get in to the front, but I feel like it's filling up less, or maybe less quickly, but still filling up, because a thing that I've been noticed the last 2 or 3 years that has really annoyed me is these kind of cocky studios. Comic-Con has kind of turned into this commercial studio playground of, we're going to come and show you our movies and our trailers, and you're going to like it. Back from when it was first cool, when they showed up and it was like, oh, well, we're going to use you as like our focus group so we can find out what you like and do it that way. And now they've just sort of, they kind of treat it as a given that people are just going to pack the house no matter what we do. So they haven't even put anything on the schedule. They literally block out 90 minutes, 20th Century Fox panel. No idea what movies they're going to talk about, who's going to show up to those panels, if anybody, what you're standing in line for, and they really think that it doesn't matter, that just because they say that their studio is going to be there, that people are going to pack the house with it, and it's not true. And a friend of mine said he walked into a panel with Benedict Cumberbatch because nobody knew who they were there for, or that they were even doing a movie he was in. And there was a Mockingjay panel, the new Hunger Games movie, but nobody knew that was going to be there, or that most of the cast was going to be there, because they didn't announce it. They just said that the studio said, oh, we're going to have a panel, hope you come. And if you were savvy enough to know that Hunger Games is done by Lionsgate, and that the new Hunger Games movie comes out in November, and that it's likely they'll have a panel, maybe you were smart enough to show up. But they're not putting anything in the schedule. And people aren't willing. It's such a commitment to get into panels these days that people aren't willing to go to things if they don't know what it's going to be. Even though we constantly make the joke about Comic-Con being, that's really more of the vendor floor, but Comic-Con being the only place that people will get in a line because it's there, not knowing what it's for.
Certainly. Well, maybe this will be a turning point, and they'll probably meet somewhere in the middle next year, one would hope. Maybe a little more advertising.
I sure hope so.
All right.
It would definitely be better if they would actually commit to, what they're going to do. Even if they just said, we're going to do this movie. We don't know if everybody's going to be there or not, but here's who we hope to have.
Right. All right. Well, I got a lot of good pictures of the girl and the boy and the wife who had a good time at the show. So thanks to Caitlin for the awesome costumes that they got to put on. That was a lot of fun.
And they looked fantastic. And the picture of little Dominic as baby Loki with the adult Loki has been the most passed around photo of our con. Every time we see people, oh, you have to see this.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, well, very good. While you were there, you were missed up in Northern California. We had our class reunion, And
Yes.
there were at least a handful of people who asked, "What's that show you do every week on Google Plus that's in my feed?" Because it's you, and because you went to the same high school I did, so we graduated at the same time. So you were,
Yeah.
there were a couple people. Well, it's interesting. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's good to see you guys.
Hi guys.
Yeah.
You're on board. Um, well, at least like two or three of those people played Star Trek with us, like the very, very, very beginning.
Yeah. Some of them were people that I
Evolved.
had
Not.
to explain the whole thing to, but that's okay. It was interesting. We had a good time, and we're going to try to do a little mini gathering later on. So we'll see who can get together for that.
Yeah, I was really disappointed to have missed that. I remember being in the conversation for planning last June and them saying, "How about end of July?" And I was like, "Well, Comic-Con's usually the third week of July almost every year. That sounds great. Go end of July." And then Comic-Con was moved.
Right.
So sad to miss it, but hopefully I'm definitely down for getting together for mini reunion.
All right. Awesome. Then we got a 1E tournament coming up this weekend.
Yep.
Kind of the
draft.
last. Yes, and I'm sure it's going to be. We want to do it. We want to do a draft so that people can concentrate on their Worlds decks and not take any time away from crafting those, and not have to make pretty much 2 decks in 2 weeks. So we'll have a report back from that. See how it goes. Yeah.
Indeed. And then we can start thinking about our Gen Con preview.
Gen Con preview, Worlds preview. We should have a guest on to talk about what we're expecting to see, and hopefully on the Monday, on the afterwards, we'll be able to rope in somebody who's running events as well and talk about the aftermath. I'm flying in, but I should be back in plenty of time to do the show on Monday. You?
Yes, I am red-eyeing as well, or not red-eyeing, but leaving at Dark 30 Monday morning. So,
Right.
Assuming I can stay awake, I think we should be good.
Okay, sounds good. Very well. Let's wrap this up then.
All right. Well, that's all the intelligence we have for Comic-Con this year. I am looking forward to getting some sleep and then getting ready for some gaming at Gen Con. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I am Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the world's universe.
And I will stand in line to end.